Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all. Welcome to another London session live stream. And we had a good close to the end of the week with this setup right here on GJ. And from then on, we had some movement late Friday into New York session, right? And we saw this setup forming, right? So I've labeled this with the path here. So 1 to 1 here. We got a second touch on the top end of the range. And we got a second touch to the bottom, which was the opening from Sunday to Monday. Right, so we got that opening here. And now we're getting, this push here. So we got a little bit consolidation here. We got about, I believe, almost a 60 pip range here. 56, 57 pip range. So not too bad. We had some consolidation here in this zone. Right here. So 11, 12 pips here for the last, what would you call it here? Last couple hours. Now we're looking for a strong push here to the south. Right down here is to fill up this non-wick candle and then also tap this bottom end of the range, right? So we're looking for that, candle to push down here to possibly fill up this non-wick candle and tap the bottom end of this range right here that's drawn out, right? So it's a potential range here. We're going to have to take a look more introspectively to see if it continues down, right? So just to be careful now, if we do get, to the bottom here on GJ, so we're going to have GJ buy stops at which area here? So it's going to be, what are we looking at here? 181. Can we look at 181 400? Yeah, 181 400 would be nice. Again, if it pushes much past that, we're going to adjust the buy stops, right? But this is the target zone that we're looking for GJ, 181 400. When it gets into this target zone, right, at that point, we're going to actively watch the charts to see if it can cross, right? If it can cross this area and then come back up and then activate our, at that point, when it comes down below, to some degree, right, below the bottom end of the range, we go ahead and enter our buy stops, and then we, wait for the price to reach back here so we can continue the move up here. And we do have, I believe, have a 1-hour EMA up here. Yeah, we do have a 1-hour EMA, which could be a significant tool for us to close out this potential range setup here, right? But again, that's if the price dips down here. If it does not, it's wicking the, rejecting the current EMA here, the 5-minute. We got the 50-minute, 15-minute EMA. And the 30 minutes right there as well. The 1 hour is a little bit above, and the 2 hour goes above the range right here. But again, by that time, it could dip down because this current candle, this current hour candle, when it closes, this may even shift down here towards the top end of the range, which would be a better target for the overall range here, right? But we're gonna have to wait for GJ to at least dip down, which could be, again, a clean push to the upside once it gets down here. So let's wait out for that. Obviously, GJ can just continue the push up right now as it's doing, and even get to, the top end with this current hour candle. However, if it does reject any of these EMAs here, 5, 15, and 30-minute EMA, if it rejects, can come down, reject here, and then come down and fill up this non-wick candle right, come below our bottom end of the range, and then we can go and set our buy stops, and then it comes back up. So that's kind of the plan here. If GJ ends up just pushing to the upside, right, you can see that if we're accounting this as a touch here, 1 to 1, 2 to 2, if we're counting this as 2 touches, the next touch is to the top side here, right? So where GJ is, it can continue pushing up and potentially cross the 1 hour EMA and then tap here, right? However, because of how GJ opened up with no wick, and it being a bottom end of the range, I'm looking at GJ maybe possibly coming down and filling up that wick, tapping this, and then continuing to move up, right? So both possibilities are up for grabs, right, as GJ moves. But I'm still looking for GJ to come down first. You know, that seems more of a possibility than GJ is pushing all the way up. But again, anything is possible, right? So GJ can again create a wick here. It can come here, tap, you know, the EMAs here, and then come down, and then come back up. But we're gonna have to let GJ, you know, move around a bit and give it some time and be patient with the setup. But let's see. It's pushing right now. Got to the 30-minute EMA. Let's see how it reacts to this. We do have a 50-minute candle, a new 50-minute candle coming up in just under a minute. But we have a trade idea here once GJ may come down to that level. So we'll see about that. Here's the new 50-minute candle. We're going to have to wait and see. And let's take a look at USD CAD as well. So we had this range, which was last week into Friday, where we got this range completed. And then it was a big, you know, push down. Of course, there were some fundamentals here involved. And I believe it was CPI, right? Friday. Let's take a look at, yep. Or sorry, not CPI, PMI, right? For USD at 945. So that pushed USD CAD below. Today we don't have much. We did have JPY prior to the stream. But again, GJ is still in this range, right? So nothing drastic. But there is some, you know, Euro high impact news coming up in less than 2 hours. But it doesn't seem like it'll be, you know, affecting GJ. And then there's a medium impact during New York session. So nothing much today. Tomorrow we'll have to take a look as well, but it doesn't seem like nothing's going to be during London session as well tomorrow, even into Wednesday. So it might be a calmer week until the end of the week, right? So not much with fundamentals with the pairs that we're trading. There is some USD high impact news, but that's during New York session. So that's something we'll see if we do consider USD CAD, but nothing yet. Good GJ now. So it, you know, crossed, you know, the EMA slightly, the 30-minute EMA, but nothing major. Let's see here. USD CAD is floating above this EMA, the 30-minute EMA, the 1 hour, 2 hour, the 4 hours above. But you can see that this is consistent throughout here. So this could be definitely the top end here. And we could see USD CAD coming down as GJ may come up, right? But we're gonna have to see to it. We can adjust this top end here. This is on the smaller end. Yeah, we could see something down here if USD CAD, appears to come down here. But this is very, very early phase, right? So this is just something to consider, but very early phase in terms of the range, right? We're just not even at our second touch. We're just at the top here. So this can continue up, but if it does push down, we can consider this bottom touch. And at this point, we can consider, the upside. But we're going to wait out for USD CAD. It's nothing, nothing forming, in terms of the range for USD CAD here. This is, again, a 60 pip range. So it could be a potential push here, but we're just going to wait out for USD CAD and see. Okay, DJ, let's see if it does reject. We got 11 minutes left to the closure of the 30-minute candle, right? So if this current candle completely rejects it, there's a 50-minute EMA and a 5-minute EMA here. If it completely rejects it, and again, it is in a small consolidation zone here. So if it does reject it, can push down past this current wick and come down to, fill this non-wick candle and get to the bottom so we can get our setup ready. So let's see if it moves faster than anticipated, then we can probably catch this move and catch this entry prior to London session, but we're still about 40 minutes away from London opening. Let's see, 15-minute and 5-minute. So the 15-minute candle did open up above the EMA, but the 30-minute is being rejected. So let's see. Okay, could be a potential big rejection here. And I continue to push down. And let's see how far it is from the non-wick candle. About 15, 16 pips, and about 19, pips to the bottom end of the range. Okay. So again, these are just trade ideas. When I do consider entering, I would like to, for the price to, if it's a buy stop, for the price to dip below the price for me to have some breathing room and enter the buy stops, and then wait for them to get activated. All right, so that's the way I like to work the buy stops and sell stops. Price dipping above or below the stops, depending on if you have buy stops or sell stops, and then give it some breathing room, so it's not just 1 or 2 pips away because of the spread, and it just taps you in, but give it maybe 4 to 5 pips, and then allow the pair to move, and if it moves towards your direction, at that point you can consider maybe a big push towards your side, right? So it's very calculated how we set the buy stops and sell stops. And secondly, in terms of instant execution, only when there's credible and a higher amount of confluences and setups, or in the setup is such perfected in such a way where instant execution probably will be more likely for us to get in or miss the overall movement towards our intended target. So just keeping everything open here just in case we do flip to USD CAD. I'm just going to set an alert here. Okay, let's just create here. I'm not sure why it's not setting this. Oh, actually, there it is. Okay. So just in this zone here. So let me just adjust it here slightly. Oh, so that's okay. So they were setting. I don't know why it didn't feel like that. Let me just remove this one. Okay, so slightly above it, just in case if price, there's a big movement. I do want to be notified, so I don't miss this, potential setup. And so let it cross. Want that one candle to kind of push past this non-wick candle, push past, this bottom end that I've drawn here, and maybe reach, one of these wicks here for me to safely, enter the buy stops. And if price continues to push down, let's say at London opening, then, I'm saved here and I don't, price doesn't tap in. And so enough, there's enough distance here. Let's see how much distance that would be in terms of pips. Let's say, yeah, so 7-8 pips. That's very comfortable stop here, just in case, again, London opening comes and continues to push down before it may just come back up, right? Many times you may see a fake out that appears at the onset of a London opening, and we just want to avoid that. Alrighty, so we got about 5 minutes left to our 30-minute candle closure, which will be significant here because if it does close below this 30-minute EMA, we could anticipate that there may be a push down here, and at that point, we could consider that this may be a reality where we can actually have price push down here and go for these buy stops. All right, so that's the weight right now. Just got 4 minutes left. Let's see. But again, price still consolidating in this zone here, right? So we still got what 11, 12 pip consolidation zone here, and we could definitely see GJ push down here with the next opening of the 15-minute, 30-minute candle. Alrighty, 1 minute left, and it seems like we may get a closure. I mean, definitely below the 30-minute EMA here, 15-minute as well. So we had a strong bearish candle here, potentially to close out the 50-minute candle as well, and then even the 5-minute. Ooh, okay, so there's no candle or no wick on this 5-minute candle, so that means that it may continue to consolidate in the current zone here, but very strong rejection of the EMA here for on the 30-minute candle. Right, so let's see, another minute left, and we can look to see whether it continues in the consolidation zone or it continues to push down here. Let's see. There is no the last 5-minute candle had no wick here, so it could continue, or it can come up to fill up this non-wick candle and then to push down, or can do a strong bearish push here. But again, it doesn't seem unlikely that it can come up here into the consolidation zone, fill up the non-wick candle and then come back down. So again, patience is key right now, as we don't want to force a move here and lose out on a potential good setup here. And again, this range would be how many pips again? It would be about 55, 56 pips, right? So it could be a 1 to 3 risk to reward ratio here. Let's see. Need a push down here on the 30-minute candle here, so we can get down to cross this wick on the previous 30-minute candle and pull down towards our non-wick candle here, so about 15 pips away, and then down here about 19-20 pips to get to our target area where we can consider setting some buy stop. Sorry. Yeah. So let's see. Alrighty, okay, so still, again, stuck in that consolidation zone. Could come back again to fill up this non-wick candle and continue to push down, or yeah, no, it's we're not getting enough volume. I think we may have to wait until London opening to get pick up some volume here and maybe break out of this consolidation zone. Right on the 50-minute, you can see that it continues to be in this zone here. Let me just highlight this area right here, which is again is around 11-12 pips. So until we don't break out of this, we won't be able to consider which direction GJ could go. Again, if it does go up here, we do have our viewpoint that it can again tap the 1 hour and maybe tap the top end here, of which then I would look for sells once it crosses. And I would need a clean cross of this range set here, where maybe it can reach here, or even this non-wick candle, from last Friday here. So if we can see that price move up here, we can definitely see it crossing up here. And so I might hold out for the GJ sells if price does reach out here, because we do have some confluences above. Not only do we have this non-wick candle, which was seen last Friday, but we also have the 2-hour EMA, which is lining up with that. So this may be a larger range that we should follow instead, right? That's if price breaks above this point here, right? Crosses over the 1-hour EMA. But currently, we're looking at GJ potentially just going down to the bottom end here. Okay, let's see here. So I got about 24 minutes to go with London opening. Right, coming up. So let's see. Alrighty, still trying to get that push down here. So let me see Um, or let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So again, the next push would be up here, right? Ideally, but because of the non-wick candle, and that's kind of how GJ opened up with the second hour here. So we're looking for GJ to kind of push down, rejecting the EMAs here and push down here to the bottom end, and then we can go ahead for the buy, right? Which the 1 hour EMA may move down to around this level by that time. And, that could give us almost, 2 TPs here, because this range is almost covering a 1 to 3 TP according to my system. So with that, nearly 60 pips, we can cover almost 3 TPs comfortably. So the 1 hour EMA tab would be a nice, 2 TP setup here, but we need price to reach here. Again, it's not far off. It's maybe less than 20 pips to the bottom end of the range. And then we can go for a clean, buy. Of course, I'll be setting buy stops and not just instant execution here, right? But we got 20 minutes left. Either, GJ pushes down here, at least, 5 to 10 minutes prior to London opening, and we can, maybe set the buy stops here and continue to push up with London opening. But just have to be patient here for the correct entry. Okay. Might get a bearish close on the 50-minute candle here, or it goes right back into the range, right in the small consolidation zone here, which we've seen it for the last, how many hours is this now? From, that's 10 p.m. Eastern time, or even here actually, let's say, 10 p.m. Eastern time to nearly 3. So that's almost 5 hours it's been stuck in this zone here. So we could get a break of that prior to London opening with the last 50-minute candle coming up and a 50-minute candle close, maybe down to this wick right here. We need a strong push here. We've got 3 minutes left. Kind of going right back into the consolidation zone. You can see there's a non-wick candle up here. So it could come back to fill this and then maybe, do a bearish push. But nonetheless, we can also get that bearish push in this current candle if we get it engulfing close down here towards this, bottom wick here. Let's see here. So that's our overall setup here for the range. But waiting for price to come down, cross below our potential, the target zone that we've listed here, and then set the buy stops comfortably. Now we got 2 minutes left. Let's see how the 15-minute candle closes. And then we can make a decision here. But again, it's been stuck in that consolidation zone for almost 5 hours. This continues to get into that. So maybe we'll get some, pickup of volume at London opening. Just got under 16 minutes left. And let's see how the 15-minute candle closes here. Again, still, seems very likely that it'll close within this consolidation zone. And then we're going to have to wait for the next 15-minute candle to see what it does to close off, the pre-London hour or pre-London opening hour. Let's see here. All right, here it comes. Let's see. Again, closed within that consolidation zone. And it may continue to consolidate. And we may have to wait until London opening to see something. Maybe a slight pickup of volume here to the downside potentially. Yeah, so still moving. As we're not getting any volume, so it's most likely continuing to consolidate here. And now we have 15 minutes left to wait for a breakout of this consolidation zone to the downside. Because if it does get here, yes, it could be a clean move up here, at least to the 1 hour EMA, which would give us at least about 40 pips or so, which would be ideal. Even 37, 38 pips would be a nice 2 TP run here for GJ. But again, patience pays, so that's exactly what we have to do here. It's probably coming to fill up the 5-minute non-wick candle. Yep, so I filled that up, and you can see the current 5-minute and 15-minute candle has no wick, so that can give us the certainty to see GJ pushing back down, but it may be coming up to maybe potentially tap the 50-minute EMA or the 30-minute EMA, and potentially again ranging and consolidating in that zone and pulling back down here. So you could see strong bullish candle but no wick, and EMA taps and consolidation in that zone give us a good idea that it'll continue to move down. And again, even London opening is still 13 minutes away, so we might not get the breakout of that zone yet. So let's just track this on a closer level here on the smaller time frames. Okay, so GJ wants to even tap the 30-minute here, 30-minute EMA. And again, for anybody asking, or for this range right here, so we could see that again, GJ is in this range, but it's a smaller range than what I normally trade for GJ, at least on the smaller end ranges, because I like to give GJ a little breathing room, right? So you can see the current candle on the 15-minute, there's no wick, so this can definitely push down. And if I was hoping for to get a few more pips on GJ, let's say on the sell here for 10, 11 pips, and then we get a non-wick candle that just continues to push up in a few minutes, it would take away the whole setup here, right? So to avoid that, I don't like to trade smaller ranges on GJ. Give it at least maybe 15 rarely, but 20 to 25 would be ideal. Even 18 to 20 pips would be ideal for GJ on the smaller end of the range, or of overall ranges for GJ in terms of scalping. Okay, so tapped again the 30-minute EMA. And now are we going to see a push down, or we're going to see a continuation? But again, the non-wick candle and the surge of this current candle, right, what is that, 12, almost 13 pips now. But still stuck in this consolidation zone. So it could definitely come right back down. We got under 9 minutes left for London opening. So that's another thing to wait now and see. Do we get the move up, or does it come back and push down? And with London opening, do we get a further push down to our intended target zone here for potentially entering our buy stops here? So we need to see that push down here to be convinced. Otherwise, as we know it with this current range, you can see what the touch is. The next move would be moving up, but the current 50-minute candle has no wick, and this hour candle does not have a wick either. And then we're also at the bottom end of the range. So with the rejection of the EMAs, potentially we could get a push down here, and that's where our intended buy zone would be, where we would make a decision to enter the buy stops around 181, 400 or so forth. Right, so just give it a little breathing room and enter that. But just waiting for GJ to push down. If it can come down here, again, this would be an ideal setup, I believe, with GJ. That could most likely give us 3 TPs, but to be certain, I would take at least 2 TPs out of this. Of course, managing the trade accordingly. As we move to the next stop or next TP, we adjust our stops. All right, 8 minutes left, and price seems to be rejecting the 30-minute EMA. So let's see. Alrighty, so GJ again still seems to be stuck in the consolidation zone. We are, with our last 5-minute candle before London opening. And it seems like it'll just continue to consolidate here, right? So we could get a pickup of volume, a nice pickup of volume with London opening in about 5 minutes. Over the last, I believe, several setups in the past week or in 2 weeks. We've gotten a lot of setups around this time, or maybe like 5-10 minutes prior to London opening and into London opening, holding it into London opening. And, we've seen a lot of success. But you can see that it is technically in a range, but the range is just too small and increases our risk, right? Because one non-wick candle with a huge burst can complete the whole range. And if you take in spread, then it's not worth it, right? We need a little bit more of movement, especially with GJ that can move 20 to 30 pips freely within a given hour and so forth. So let's just be patient here. So 3 minutes left. Could it close below the 30-minute EMA, or is it going to continue the push up? But considering that the current candle has no wick either, right? And it's at least 13, 14 pips above almost. Okay, so we're getting somewhat of a push now from GJ. But just under 3 minutes left. Let's look at the 1 hour EMA, how far that is from the current price. That's about 11 to 12 pips. So again, it's not, it's not a crazy distance to get there. It can certainly get there, but is GJ going to reject the EMA in reverse here to come back down? But it's looking pretty confident here to continue the push up. But let's see. A lot could happen in the last 2 minutes. And even if, let's say, GJ closes above the 30-minute EMA and continues to push up, London opening could come down and just with volume can push it all the way back down. Right, and that's also has happened many times over as well. So let's see here. Okay, we got 1 minute left. Let me quickly take a look at USD CAD here. All right, so we're looking for this push down. It's not tradable, but for USD CAD, we're looking for this push down to this zone. If it does happen, then the buys, that would be a nice setup as well, right? This is a 60 pip range on USD CAD. All right, but we do have some, I believe, some fundamental events. Actually, no, not today. It's into tomorrow. We have on Tuesday. We got some fundamental, high impact fundamental events for USD. All right, let's look at USD CAD, GJ, sorry. Okay, wow. Strong push, to the upside here for GJ. And so it closed well above around, 7-8 pips. Now, is it stuck in this range? Or will GJ come up to tap at least the 1 hour here, which is about 9 pips above the price right now for GJ? And gonna come back down, but let's see. Let's see here. Well, you can see now there's a non-wick candle here, which was the last how GJ closed here with no wick at the bottom. That's 16 pips here, and then we also have this non-wick candle where price did not come and fill that in. So okay, wow, okay, so GJ is making that push towards the EMA here. And again, as I did mention, in the beginning and through the stream, that currently, if we're looking at the range and how it's, has exact touches here, the next anticipated touch would be to the top end here, right? The only thing is now that we had this non-wick candle and a potential consolidation here, zone here, with a long wick, which, could have pushed the price down here, tapped the bottom end of the range here, and then we could look and consider buy stops. But current price, into closing the hour prior to London opening, closed bullish here, and now the next candle now can it consolidate back in the zone? Will it push up here and maybe potentially tap here, which would again complete the second to third touch, right? But the intended touch, pure technicals without looking at any of the candles here, the next touch would be up here, right? But because of certain confluences here, I felt necessary that I would wait for the price to reach at the bottom end here. But again, if it does reach up here and it pushes past, I may consider sell stops, depending on how it reacts to closing off the non-wick candle here. As you can see, non-wick candle here, and also the 2-hour EMA here, which is relatively almost in this exact same zone. And then there's of course the 4-hour EMA all the way up here, right? So taking all those things in consideration, I need to be sure to set the sell stops in a timely and patient manner, so we don't lose out that setup, right? It gets us tapped in and then it goes right back up. So I'm still thinking that GJ can come down and push down, fill up these non-wick candles. Now there's two of them now on the higher time frame. There's 15-minute and there's a 1 hour right here. So it can come back down, consolidate, push down past here, past the 181,400 into the bottom end of the range, and then we can go ahead and set some buy stops. And that's our trade idea. If it does not execute and it continues to push up, then the buy stops will be invalidated, and we'll look for sell stops instead with obviously some confluences that are critical in understanding whether the sell stops would be valid or too risky. So there is a risk assessment there as well. Now let's see. So if this did break out of the consolidation zone here, right? Let me just show you guys right here. So this consolidation zone that it was in, about 11, 12 pips, that I've been repeating over through the stream. If it did break out, which it seems it did, but on the larger time frame, you can see that it's merely just still in the consolidation zone. But if it did break out here, there would be a potential buy to continue the move up. But because of the larger time frame, let's look at over here. You can see that price did reach up here previously today, or when the market opened, and then went back down. And this could be, another example of that as well. And again, with the, London opening volume, you don't want to be faked out or, take a move urgently where it can go against you. So it pays to be patient here. Alrighty, so again, GJ seems that it may be stuck in the zone. Or may continue to push up, right? So in the small consolidation zone, it has broken out of that right before London opening. However, on the larger time frame, it may just go right back down here. And that will be a valid setup for us to enter. Because it's gone there before, and of course there's a higher confluence EMAs above. But just have to be patient here. If we can get one strong candle here to push down, this could be a setup. Let's look at USD CAD here. So okay, so there is a 4-hour EMA tap here, so that can definitely come up here, and maybe tap that and continue to move down. But needs to show more of a push down here. If it doesn't reach the 4-hour EMA, we'll need a big push down here to get to this zone here, right? But again, this wouldn't be tradable for me, at least not right now. But this small consolidation zone here that it's gotten itself into, let's look at here. So this consolidation zone, 10, 9, 10 pips. You know what? If it does tap the 4-hour here, I could consider a sell off here. So let's see. So if it does come up here to the 4-hour EMA, I'll look to see if we can enter some sells. But again, if it drags on into pre-New York and New York session, then that'll just be too long here. All right, it seems like GJ will push up, getting to the 1-hour EMA very, very soon. And again, it's still in line with the touches here. 1 to 1, 2 to 2, and then we got a third touch, potentially a rejection of the EMA here or a continuation up here, right? Once it gets here, at that point we can decide whether we do the sell-off here or it comes up at least to this level. So let me draw a horizontal ray here to line this up, and let's see what the two are. So you can see right here, when two confluences are lining up in such an exact manner, if price breaks up off here, if it comes up here and breaks the top end of the range here, then it could definitely reach the non-wick candle along with the 2-hour EMA, and then we still have the 4-hour EMA above here as well. So after the third touch, GJ can break out, right? So if it does cross, oh wow, it nearly just tapped it 1 hour, so that's definitely going to be tapped here, right? So if it does cross into this top end of the range here, we could definitely see price moving above that as well, maybe into this zone here, and that would invalidate the buy stops once it does get up here. If it does reject the 1-hour EMA, then we can still have an opportunity to see if price can come down, and then we can potentially do the buy stops. But right now, there's no certainty, right? It's a slower Monday as well. I mean, to consider that it ranged in this zone for at least 5 hours. Okay. Question here, would I consider the 15-minute range 181.54 to 181.81. Let's see. So 181.54. Okay, so down here to up here, 81. Okay, so it's about 26 pips. Let's see on the higher time. Okay, so I see what you're looking at here. But you see, if we switch over from the 1 hour, right, which is around that area, like where the if you tap the EMA and it can come down here to the 5-4. I guess yeah. So the second touch. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and draw this. Let's go right here, right? So that's can be in consideration for sure, right? 1 to 1, 2 to 2. The only thing is now, with the London opening now, right? There's a 50-minute candle closing now in 1 minute. Now, we have to make sure that we minimize our risk. Now, we're looking at a larger range where it has gotten, it touched here 1, 1, 2, 2. Now the third touch with, higher confluences above, where price has gotten, right? It has gone to the top end of the range previously, even though it was Friday, but the range is still valid. Now, will it push up here, right? So where do you anticipate the sells? Now, are you anticipating that the 1 hour EMA, the price is going to reject the 1 hour EMA and come down? At what point do you enter your sells, right? And then looking at the larger end of the range, now you see that price has gone in here twice over. The third touch, has high accuracy. So what happens now is that even if price comes back down here, the risk wouldn't be a low risk trade because of the fact that it's almost at the top end of the range here on the larger time frame, and so you're actually increasing your risk. The risk is not being minimized, but yet increased to a certain extent, right? Even though yes, the range does look valid, but when it's caught up in a larger range with the London opening volume, you have to be careful. Right, so that's something to consider. But again, if you're okay with taking that risk and you've assessed your risk, then you can go ahead and give it a try. But just the way the London opening volume kicked in, we could see price coming up here. Although yes, on just a regular range, if we didn't have the larger range in mind, and the larger range is not too large where we could see price consolidating further, but the fact that it's gotten there and there's higher confluences above, that's for me it increases the risk. Again, not saying that it can't be valid, right? Just gonna remove this for now. Again, yes, even considering that there are non-wick candles below, even over here on the lower time frames, still it's the risk is still still in the medium to high for me personally. But let's see how, if price does tap and get up there, or we get a push down. So this is just a trade idea again. It'll invalidate if it does get to the top end of the range, and so we're just going to wait and see. Alrighty. So we could again anticipate the tap here. Now let's see if it does this strong push up. Or will it just reject here? Let's see. I mean, it was a near tap here. What was that around? I mean, yeah, it's not even a decimal of a difference here. Okay, so the previous 5-minute candle did close with no wick. Could work in line with, pushing down here after nearly tapping the 1 hour EMA. Right, here comes the 1 hour. Okay, let's see. All right, so GJ is still moving slow. It is a Monday morning, and earlier, I mean, consolidated around this area for like 5 hours, right here. Nearly 5 hours in this zone here. I mean, that's what, 11, 12, 13 pips. So that was definitely a slower, pre-London opening, consolidation zone here. Now it finally seems to break out, but on the higher time frame, you can see it's still caught up in the zone now. But will it continue to push above and break out? Again, not comfortable taking the sells here with the London opening, volume pickup potentially. We got 9 minutes left till another 15 and 30-minute candle closure. Let's take a look at USD CAD here. So USD CAD seems to, maybe break out of this zone, but there's an EMA tap, which again can continue the, the price up. Could definitely push up here, but again, it's nothing solid here. Not getting anything solid from USD CAD yet. And GJ, is it rejecting the 1 hour EMA, or is it just retracing at that area for continuation upwards? Let's see. Now again, I'm hoping that we can get a setup today, but just the way the prices are moving today it's rather very slow, right? I did mention again just a few minutes ago, and throughout the stream I've been mentioning that it was stuck in a consolidation zone of 11 to 12 pips for about 5 hours, right up to London opening hour. And now we're into the London opening hour, and it's gone up to the 1 hour EMA, but again, will it continue to push up? We're gonna have to wait and see. And if you've been catching up with my streams, for London session, you'll see that majority of the time, 4 out of the 5 sessions we do, or 4 out of the 5 days of of the week, we do end up getting a setup or multiple setups ready, right? Some days we get USD CAD and GJ setups, but there may be one session, one London session out of the 5 in a week that we may not be able to get a setup. And again, we have to practice good psychology and good discipline here, right? If we don't have the setup, we're not anticipating that move, coming to our target zone, or we're not, seeing that it's coming to our target zone, then we don't want to risk it. And it's okay if especially on a Monday or a Friday, right? If we don't get that move, it's fine. We move on to the next day or the next session. But just not getting enough of a pickup of volume. And let's say even if you are in the setup, it may take longer than anticipated just because of a slow pickup of the volume. Now, for all that we see it here, it seems that GJ's, has rejected the EMA to the move down, but it is the London opening hour, and we may get a continuation up. Right, this may continue to push up and past the 1 hour EMA and on to the top end of the range. But it's very, very, very slow. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to be looking at the next, not the next 15-minute candle, but maybe another 20 minutes or so, to see if GJ has a movement towards our intended area. Again, it could be at either end of the range for us to get a setup. But if this does not move, then GJ is going to be very slow today, and we may not be able to get a setup for today. So we'll look at the next 15-20 minutes to see if GJ does something, of a higher volume pickup where we can anticipate, price moving to the intended zone in a timely manner where we can end up getting a setup. But we should practice good discipline. If we can't find that setup, maybe that session, trading that session for that day is not valid, and just move on to the next day. Well, let's see. Okay, so G just seems to be pushing down now. But from the top end here, I mean, it's a mere, 8-9 pips here. Let's see. GSD CAD and GJ. So for all those just joining now, again, we were looking for buy stops, for GJ. Let me just put them here, right here. So that is our trade idea, but GJ, was consolidating in this zone for, about 5 hours or so. Broke out during the London opening hour, which is the current hour, 26 minutes in, and went on to tap the 1 hour EMA. Now, again, our intended area for GJ is to push up to the top end of the range here. However, we do have the 1 hour here, EMA, and we may get a push down, rejection of that. But again, because of London volume pickup and the potential third touch here, which price has gotten here twice previously, right? So the second to third touch, is a confident tap to the top end. But the way GJ has been moving today, very slow in volume, even, post post London opening, still see that it's still not, moving that fast. It did break out of the small consolidation zone, but again, that was 11-12 pip zone. So that wasn't hard to break out from. I mean, it took 5 hours to break out of that. But for all that we know, GJ can continue to push up. We were looking at right at the opening of London, that price could come back down, kind of consolidate in the zone, in which it still can come back to the bottom, fill up this non-wick candle, right? There's a non-wick candle right here. We set an alert here. Come down to tap the bottom end of the range. And then once it crosses that, maybe to, level one of these wicks here, we can go ahead and set some buy stops. So once price reaches here, it can continue to push up to the third touch. Right, but again, GJ is already making that move right now, which again was anticipated, but because of the non-wick candle on the 1 hour candle here, and a bottom end of the range, there was some confluences that drive me to make this decision to wait out for GJ to come down here, right? Because the other way may have been more risky, but now it's pushing up to to the 1 hour EMA now, and it could continue to push up directly, right? Directly without coming down here. So that's kind of the weight here. Now, if it does drastically push down, it could definitely come down to the bottom end here. We can come down here and then push down, and then we can go ahead and do the setup here. But that all means that GJ is going to have to pick up in volume. And if it does not pick up in volume, then we have an issue, because once it comes up here, let's say to the top end of the range, which again is the plan according to the range system here, is that GJ comes up here, and then now we have, again, price has reached above here in this range. We have a non-wick candle here. So I'll switch to the, let me just switch it to the 50-minute time frame here. This is from Friday. We had a non-wick candle that started off the high impact fundamental news on Friday, and then we also have a 2 hour EMA at the same area, right? So around the same area we have that. So we have two confluences. Once price reaches at the top of the range here, it could definitely push up here, which is around how many pips above? What, 20, 21, 22 pips. So it can really, catch some steam and push up all the way up here. And then that might just break out of the, the current range that GJ is in. You can see overall, GJ has been, this is from Friday now, in this range with wicks included. Right, so around this area. Now if this current candle pushes up, could continue up all the way up here. Right, and then reject here, but at that point we're going to have to analyze and see. But if that move takes, if GJ comes up all the way up here and it takes another 2-3 hours, yeah, that's going to be, we're going to have to wait until New York session to, react to that. Let's see. So there's a slight rejection of the 1 hour EMA here. But now is that full rejection, or is just a partial? And you can see on the 50 minutes ranging in this zone here. So this, it's another 10-11 pip here, 10-11 pip zone. And for all that we know, GJ could just push back up here and continue past the 1 hour EMA. So that's why, the sell-off here from the 1 hour EMA still may not be the, the best fit. But again, you never know. If we get some pickup of volume here, this could push down. Which then this plan, the buy stops, would be back in the game and back in the plans. But if that doesn't happen, then these would be invalidated, right? Again, slower Monday morning. Maybe you have to wait till a New York session, but nonetheless, it's okay if, you don't trade every single day, or if you don't find a setup every single day. That's very normal of a strategy system. Of course, if you've been watching my streams, or if you do want to go back on my streams, we normally find at least 1 or 2 setups every single London session. And I stream Monday to Friday, and you can see going back that we find a setup every single session. Yes, on the odd week, we may have that one London session where we don't feel confident in the setup. There may be a range in play, but it's a riskier range. And for that reason, I wouldn't, enter that. And, that odd session in a week may end up being today, right? Because there may be once a week where in that given session that you trade, you may not find the setup and you have to just, exit and come back the next day, right? Practice good psychology, practice good discipline, and lower your risk by, limiting your ability to enter when you don't have the full confidence that the setup is valid. Okay, let's wait. I'm going to wait another like 10-15 minutes just to see. I do want, of course, to have a setup, ready. But if GJ doesn't allow it, then, and it's going to drag on into New York session, then it's going to be, it's going to be too tough to wait that long, right? This is a London session live stream, so we're going to keep it as such. And typically, if we don't find anything within 2.5 hours of the stream, then it's going to drag on into New York session. It's just going to be too long of a wait because GDIT just today is being very, very slow in terms of movement to either direction, right? It's just consolidating in very small zones for very long periods of time. And, but typically if we look at the fundamental events this week, we were looking at it earlier in the stream as well. I mean, if you look at it, other than the euro, right, news, high impact news, which may or may not even affect GJ at all, right? Considering what it's about. Low impact GDP news, nothing really. So I mean, nothing really overall. I mean, there's some euro news, low, medium, and low impact, or medium and high impact. Let's see how that affects GJ. But other than that, throughout the week, I mean, we don't have, for London session, we don't have much going on. We had a lot of fundamental events last week, right? This is the last week of the month now, but we don't really have much going on. Some Thursday again is euro again. We do have USD news, high impact, more so into New York session, but nothing really all week for GP or even JPY. Okay, so it seems like again it's potentially rejecting the EMA, but again, look over here. No wick on the current candle, right? And if we look at GJ in the small zone again, it's too small to trade, right? 12 pip consolidation zone here, too small to trade because of these type of candles here where there's no wick and it can just continue push down in seconds and can stop you out in a range setting, right? You need a larger range to trade for GJ. Looking, for at least 18 to 20 pips. Now, if GJ pushes down all the way down here, that'll be a different story where maybe I potentially take the buy, but again, it's don't want to rush in a setup that's not completely valid as of yet. You can see there's no wick on the current candle. It's pushed down to almost 6-7 pips. Can come right back up, tap the EMA and continue up. Okay, into the last 50 minutes before the London opening hour closes. So we see a tap of the 5 minute here. Let's see where the 50 minute is. Yeah, 50 minute as well almost. And 30 minute has been tapped. Now you can see now the non-wick candle here up above has now been filled. Now will it reject and continue its direction up? Or was this 1 hour range that was in play that one of the members actually mentioned, would that be valid, right? But the risk again will still be there just because of how GG has been moving, and with the near tap now it has been tapped the 1 hour EMA, but then the way this current candle closed, the last 5 minute candle with no wick, right? So now it's tapping here. Now what we could see, tapping here, and then it can continue back up here, right? And close off this non-wick candle. And then that would also mean the 1 hour EMA would be tapped and it could continue up, right? So this creates a lot of uncertainty, and with a lot of uncertainty, it increases risk. So we need to, be careful with that. That's the only thing. Now, let's see the fact that the price came down here. How large would this range be now? So now it gets into the 18-19 pip zone, right? With a EMA tap and a 50-minute EMA tap as well. So let's see here. Now, because I'm more comfortable with the direction upwards, the buys in this scenario would be, because again, the larger time frame, the range is upwards, right? The fact that there is supposed to be a touch to the top end for the third touch, or the supposed third touch, could we get a range set up here that may be valid here, right? So let's see. There's a non-wick candle up here. So 16, 17 pips. Could we see this setup as valid? Let's see. Now we got one more minute left till the 50-minute candle. Let's see the amount of pips here. It's about 18, 19 pips. Let's see. So we have 1 minute left, or just a few seconds left till the 50-minute candle closure. So let's see how that closes off. Let's see here. So just going to be careful with this one, because let's see here. So no wick on the current candle. Again, close below. The 50-minute close below the EMA as well. It's in the middle of a small or a non-tradable range versus a small range. So this is a little on the trickier end here, just to decide whether I should trade this range or not. But even with the EMA taps, closing, price closing below the EMA taps, right? Crossing and closing below. I mean, price can certainly come back up here. There's a non-wick candle here, and again, the move with the 1 hour EMA as well. It doesn't take that away, but for me personally, I believe I'm just gonna avoid it for now because of the uncertainty of the EMA taps here. Let's see here. Again, the certainty in that move would be that the intended direction is upwards. So now, let me show you guys. So the fact that the intended direction is upwards, that would give me confidence in setting those buys because price has already gotten up all the way there, right? So 1 to 1, we got the 2 to 2, and now the intended direction of the third touch is to the upside, and so we see that right here. So because the third touch hasn't reached the top end of the range here, that's been drawn out on this current range, 1 to 1, and then this touch above is in line with our larger time frame. So I have more confidence in this setup here, but because of the way the EMA taps, have been crossed, right? Like the 50-minute EMA, the price closed below that, crossed it and closed below. That's giving a negative confluence to, the upside, and because of that mix-up and slight confusion in that capacity, I would like to avoid this setup instead, right? Because as one of the members mentioned, that the 1 hour EMA, could that work? And yes, I did mention that it could work, but there was a higher risk involved because, again, the higher time frame range, right? Nonetheless, it can still be possible, but again, because of that risk, being stuck in between, you could see that literally the price would, you'd be stuck in between in the larger sense, in the larger time frame sense. And for that risk, it's not suitable for, my risk at this point, right? So the risk assessment would be that entering in the middle of range, not even in the much larger time frame, but in the medium, 60 pip range, it may be a little tricky. But I felt more confident about this smaller range because, again, the same direction as the higher time frame. So buying this, but I wouldn't hold it until all the way up here, but I would hold it until the top end of the range once this non-wick candle fills up as well. But because of the closures, below, the 30-minute didn't close, but the 50-minute closed below the EMA, that also threw me off as well. So let's see here. So I guess we'll wait until the news in 10 minutes. Again, it's not GP or JPY news, but it's Euro news. Let's see if maybe that could give us some volume on GJ. Let's see. Because it seems like London opening didn't really, do much. They tapped the 1 hour EMA, but it's still just moving, very slow overall, right? We can barely get, 20 pip movements in less than an hour, right? It takes a couple hours to even get that out of GJ right now. So slower Monday morning for sure. So you could see why I would, was hesitating to even enter this current, range, because of the strong, bearish candle on the previous 50-minute candle, which actually pushed it past the EMA, right? So even though there's an on-wick candle above, the larger time frame does show that GJ would be tapping above, because there's a mix of both directions, and it's not, one's not outweighing the other. It's not a valid setup for me. Right, I tried really hard to see if I can get any setups, whether on the smaller or larger time frame, even on the smaller time frame, but it's just not valid enough. And don't want to force something that's not 100% there, at least to my confidence, even if it's medium risk, but it's just not there. So we'll wait out until another 8 minutes to see if there's a pickup of volume just from the Euro news. But we could look at and see if GJ will fill up this range. I do feel more confident with this range, but nonetheless it can just push down here. Let's see. But yeah, it doesn't seem like I'll be having a setup for for today, unless I'll still look for GJ to push all the way down here, and then maybe take those buys. But the way GJ is moving right now, it's getting very, very confusing, and you don't want to be stuck in a consolidation zone for hours and hours, and then it makes a move against you, right? It's just a slower Monday morning, and we're just gonna have to deal with that. Let's take a look at USD CAD meanwhile. So again, USD CAD is also not moving much faster. It's been stuck in this since 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's almost, what is that, 4 plus 2.5, so 6.5, 7 hours. It's been stuck in a 14 pip zone, 13 to 14 pips for 6 hours, almost 7 hours almost. Oh boy. Okay, it's a very, very, very slow Monday morning. All right, so GJ's trying to make a push right now. We got just under 6 minutes left for the new hour, but look at that range being respected. Right, so sometimes with the range ideology, you can always again practice setting the ranges, and over time, again with experience, you're going to start recognizing which ranges are actually the valid ones, right? For me personally, it's not me just drawing any range in any time frame and looking at if it's valid. I could have also drawn this range right here, right? This right here to here and here to here, but too small and not that clear. But this one had enough pips in the mix, right? Which also had on top of that some additional confluences, higher time frame confluences, and that's why this would be in more aligned. And this push again was anticipated as soon as I drew out this range, and look at the push up, right? So again, with this strategy, with this system in mind, you got to keep in mind that drawing out the ranges in different time frames and understanding which ones would work better and which ones are aligning, that's the key of the strategy. Once you figure that out, you can trade any session you want, right? Considering which pair obviously you trade and which sessions they move. But that's key here, and it's critical that you understand how to do that, and keep practicing that, because that's what's gonna bring you over the edge here in terms of profitability and consistency. All right, so 4 minutes left. We're gonna wait and see what we get. So I wouldn't be surprised again if GJ does come up here. So 1-to-1, and then we got 2-to-2. GJ comes up here, fills his non-wick candle, maybe taps the 1-hour EMA here, and then continues back down, right? I wouldn't be surprised. Could even push down all the way here, and then we get our setup that we were looking for throughout, pre-London into New York session or New York opening. So let's see, we got 3 minutes left. Let's see what happens here. I mean, how far would we be from the top end of the range? About 6 to 7 pips. So very, very doable. But just have to be patient here. Okay, we're getting a push. Right, so again, GJ could come down to or up to fill up this non-wick candle and even tap the 1-hour EMA. Right now, if it flies past that, I mean, it is the hour is closing. If it comes up all the way here and continues past it, then it's going towards the larger range and going to be tapping, the 181.900, or I mean, you can even call it 182 zone, right? And then we have of course, the 2-hour EMA plus the non-wick candle fill here. So a lot of things happening here, and yes, GJ's almost there. We got just under 2 minutes left. But very credible range here, and as you can see, it's owning up to its credibility here, and nearly about to tap the top end, which would have completed this setup here. Right, this would have been the setup here. Would it be about 17 pips and 17? But again, there's reason why I didn't call this setup. And if you like, you can watch back the stream and see in real time how we set this range up, and what factors I considered to not take this trade, and what factors there were for this setup. So let's see if it does complete. So we got 1 minute left. And actually here it is. Okay, let's see. So no wick on the current hour candle. We're getting a push here. And would that be tapped? So this would be a clean setup here. So we do have a no wick. We have no wick on the current candle now. So sells, would sells be valid here? We're going to have to see where the 1-hour EMA is. So it's up there. No wick on the current candle. Now I could fill this up right here, right, as mentioned. Fill up this non-wick candle, tap the 1-hour EMA, and then reverse back down. Right, so when usually an EMA lines up right above or right at the top end or bottom end of the range, these are the scenarios where you would do an instant execution. However, again, I mentioned why I have different biases on GJ because of different conflicting confluences on either end, right? So that does confuse with the direction which you feel confident in setting, and because you don't want to be stopped out, right, unnecessarily. Okay, so still has no wick, the current candle, but it's trying to make a push to the top end of the range. Again, not far off from that is the larger top end of the range, for the larger time frame. But as you can see, if this was a setup, which we didn't have conflicting confluences, I would have entered this setup, and you could see that it would have been minimal drawdown, if any. Right, with the clean candle to the upside and a potential, TP here that would complete at the beginning of the new hour candle. And you can watch it in real time how it's the whole development of that candle and of that range. So this just speaks volumes to the strategy and system, even if you don't take that entry. I mean, at the closest, it was at the top of the wick. It was what, less than 1 pip away from TP, right? So again, when you're that close, I mean, and there's no wick on the current candle, and there's confluences that can go against you, then for me personally, I would have closed out the trade. I wouldn't have held on, right? Because it gave us multiple chances, about 1 to 2 pips away. It gives multiple chances to close out, and that would have been your sign to close out, right? Not saying that it can't come back up and and close out here, because it just filled up the non-wick candle here for the non-wick of the current candle. Not saying they can't come back up and tap the top end of the range, but over 1 pip or 2 pips, you could potentially lost out more than 10 pips and continuing. So it's just not worth it. Also above a certain range here, or a certain marker here, like let's say if it's 17 pips of a range, then above like 10-11 pips, 2/3 of the way, adjusting your stops would also be reasonable as well, right? Because you can intend that the move continues all the way up. Once it's crossed, let's say this wick right here, there's certain things that you can consider when to close out or when to adjust your stops, right? And at that point, once it's floating up here at 1 or 2 pips away from TP, it's a 17 pip TP. You could have closed out here as well, right? No issue there. Now, GJ, we're coming back to the 30-minute EMA here. There's a 5, 15, and 30-minute EMA in between this range as well. So again, if GJ does come up here, we could look at it tapping the 1 hour and coming back down. If it doesn't do that, it could reject one of the EMAs here and continue all the way up, and then tap the 1 hour and reject there as well, right? So there's a lot of EMAs in between the small range of 18 pips, but it can go both ways. I'll stick around for another 5 minutes or so, guys, just because again GJ is consolidating in the small zone again and not really giving much of a movement, and I feel like it's gonna potentially move now, maybe pre-London or pre-New York, sorry, in a couple hours or so, or into New York session. Right, again, could close out the current 4 hour candle. So we got less than 1 hour in the current 4 hour candle, and we could see maybe a push on the new 4 hour candle as well, right? But again, the stream is going to drag on, and it can drag on and we still may not get a setup, but that's completely fine. Again, we can always wait out another day. Many times, again, with this current strategy and system, you can usually find it a setup in London session or New York session. So for GJ and USD CAD. And so we're going to have a lot of opportunities. It's a long week, and you don't want to ruin, your your psychology and forcing a setup and losing out the first trade of the week, and so right, so because of a lack of discipline and following your game plan. So okay, so we'll wait another 2 minutes. If GJ doesn't really do much here, we're going to just call it a stream, and we'll connect again tomorrow, same time, an hour before London opening. Yeah, it just seems to be struggling to just even avoid either end of the range here, which is just 17 pips on either end, or end to end. Just 1 minute left. Again, not getting much today out of GJ. Let's look at USD CAD here. So rejected the 1 hour EMA and potentially continuing up, which means this will be stuck back in this range. Right, let's just draw that here. Seems like it'll be stuck in this range. GJ now with the last 5 minute candle to close off the 50-minute candle. Will it continue down? It did tap the 5-minute EMA. 15-minute not quite. 30-minute just in the previous candle. So okay. There's a 15-minute. Let's see. So it could close up, to the upside. 30-minute as well. But again, anybody who's joining the stream now, this is not a setup that we enter, but just looking at the outcome here, considering how slow GJ has been moving today, right? So our larger range was, you know, from the bottom end here, did not reach back here, so we were not able to execute our buy stops for GJ. Now GJ could come back down here, and maybe at that point we can consider our buy stops, but it then entered this type of range here, you know, other than the 1 hour potential setup on the 15-minute time frame. Right, on the 15-minute time frame, you can see this range. Scale that down, and you can see that GJ is in this range here. And so I just illustrated this, you know, this buy here on GJ to see indeed if it does work in line with the larger time frame. So this buy would be more valid than the lower time frame sell here. But because of you know, the conflict in confluences in both directions, I avoided this setup altogether. All right, and the 50-minute just got tapped. So we got the 50-minute EMA tap, the 30-minute, and the 5-minute tap, and we could see a reversal of price before it closes out the current 50-minute candle. And so I'll stay for the, you know, 50-minute candle here closure. Let's see how 50-minute closes here. But again, the setup I did not enter. We are just looking at the overall, you know, range, you know, confirmation setup here. So let's see a couple more minutes and then we'll wrap it up here. So again, even when I'm not, you know, entering setups, which is actually not, you know, often, because most of the time we are entering setups, but when I'm not, you guys can always take that as a, you know, psychology lesson and understand that every day does not need to be tradable. Right now, if you're not trading 4 out of the 5 days or 3 out of the 5 days, then unless, you know, you're a swing, you know, type of trader, but if you're not trading, you know, you're a scalper and you're not getting any setups at all, then yeah, that's something that you need to also look at as well, because with the strategy that's simplified, that's understanding, you know, of different confluences in different areas in the smaller time frames, you should be able to get setups. All right, so this current setup now, you can see that it flew through. We got 1 minute left on the 50-minute candle. Will it continue to push down, or will the new 50-minute candle open up and continue up, right? But nonetheless, was not valid enough for us to execute for today. But let's just see how the 50-minute candle closes and the new one opens, considering that it's tapped all the different EMAs here on the shorter time frames. So let's see how that, you know, closes out, and then we'll wrap it up in a minute or two. Here we go. No wick on the current candle. Okay, attempting to push down here. All right, so this is signifying that the range indeed may be valid, right? If it doesn't now reject and push down, then it's you know, it's respecting this range. So that's another thing. If it doesn't continue down, it will continue, and it continues to push up, then this range is in the works right now, right? Which would mean that it can come up here and tap the 1 hour time frame, or 1 hour EMA here up above. It's pushing to the downside. Alrighty, okay. So, kind of pushing itself back into the range. Oh, big bearish push here. Okay. Okay, nice bearish push here. So you can see now the 1 hour may have been valid, but with some hiccups, pushing on the upside, right? So again, if that's the risk that you were willing to take, then, it may have just worked out in this scenario. So not too bad. But again, just too much of a pushback here for GJ. Trying to get that big push, but then it continues to be rejected. But I think here comes that big push, right? So now could we anticipate that GJ comes down? Or a range is in the 1 hour time frame, right? So, but because of the EMA taps above, price is not willing to let that go unless it can do a big bearish push here. Again, this is I'm not actually in the setup. This is just for lesson purposes, just to see how GJ would react in this range. Nearly one pip away from filling up the non-wick candle, but let's see how GJ closes out. But the 1 hour time frame really kicked in here, right? Albeit that the risk was a little higher, but played out in that sense. Again, even when I go off stream, I'm still going to be looking for GJ to come down here and if it comes down here to fill up this non-wick candle, look for buy stops at this zone here. Right, not right now, but I'm talking about maybe when it does come down here. I did set an alert here. Just going to slightly move that down. Right, but this is not a setup that's active, guys. This is just to see if GJ respects this range, which it nearly did. I mean, look right here. It's what was less than 1 pip away. But on the 1 hour, it's looking more valid here, right? But continues to exhaust itself in this consolidation zone. Right, so I'm going to leave the stream, guys. There's no setup that I could find today that was low, medium to low risk for you guys. So because of that, I avoided all setups. But we had a lot of, good things in terms of discipline and not over trading, or not over trading, but not forcing a trade and keeping in line with psychology. So it's still a useful stream, and still looking for the buy stops even after the stream here, just to see if price pushes down here, right? So that was our intended kind of play here before London opening, for the price to push down. Price actually pushed up, got caught up in this range, and then the 1 hour range, you could say. And now we're looking for price to push down, fill up this non-wick candle, come down here below where it has come down with the wick, set the buy stops here on the 181.400 zone, and then go for the full buys, with EMA taps in mind, right? The 2 hours should be very close now. It's coming down. So the current hour, when it closes, it's going to close up the 2 hour candle as well. So that's the target here. And so we'll come back to this tomorrow to see how price did react and if this would have been valid, right? But again, I may take this off the stream just because I am ending the stream here, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. Take care, safe trading as always, and I will see you guys back tomorrow. Take care.